Okay, sets are used to store multiple items in a single variable. Set is one of the four built-in data types in Python, and then you can check some of my previous video to look at tuple, list, and dictionary in Python. Now, a set is a collection which is unordered, unchangeable, and unindexed. What this means is that a set does not have a specific order for its elements, so the elements are not ordered, it's randomized. Okay, everything is in random. Then unchangeable, which means it cannot be modified once it is created. Okay, once you create a set, you can only add and remove, you can't change. Okay, then unindexed, which simply means that you do not have sets do not have indices, and because it do not have indices, you can't refer to the element in a set by their position. All right, so how do we now create a set? So we can create a set by, let's have our variable, so I'll call it my underscore set, and I'll say equal to, then I create a curly brace. So inside this curly braces is where we are going to have our items or elements. So here we can say orange, orange, orange here. Then we can have banana, banana, and then here we can have carrot, carrot. Okay, and then you can also have okay, let's leave it here. So this is a list, this is a set with string data type. We can also create another set that we can call it number, so we can call it number underscore set, it should be equal to, then we can pass in integer value here. Okay, let's stop here. Then we can also create a boolean here, so where we have let's say boolean set, so we call it boolean underscore set, which will be equal to true. Here we have true, we have false. Okay, all right, so this is how to declare an integer set and a boolean set and a string set. Now, does it mean that a single variable cannot hold too many data types in a set? Oh yes, every variable you create in a set can hold different data types. So we can add an integer value, so I'll add it here. So I can have an integer value here, and then we can also add a boolean value here. Okay, we can also have a boolean value here, and then once we add a boolean value and then we print my set, let's print my set and let's see what we get. So I can do my underscore set, and then so when we run it, so you can see that we have different data type. We have false here, we have one here, we have two, and then banana, carrot, orange. Now you may be wondering, why is there no true? True is not in what we just printed out. Why is that? So because the reason is because true is the same thing as 1. Okay, so if I add 0 here, for example, and I do comma here and I print again, it's going to print for us 0, 1, 2, and you can see that the true and the false are no longer appearing. The reason is because 0 is the same thing as false, and false is the same thing as true. And because a set does not allow duplicate value, that is why it's not displaying them. So a set does not allow duplicate value, and because of that it sees 0 and false as 1, and then true and 1 as one item. Okay, so whenever you are declaring a variable, an item, and you use 1 is the same thing as true. Whenever you say 0 is the same thing as false in set. So that is it about set. Okay, like I said, a set does not allow a duplicate value, and because it does not allow a duplicate value, you must know that the value true and 1 are considered the same in a set and are treated as a duplicate value. Now, so how do we now get the length? So we can use the length method to know the length of our value. So I can print here, do print, and then I can pass in length, and then I can pass in my set here, and then when I run it, it's going to print 10 for us. So this is the length. So we have about 10 values here. Okay, remember that these two are not included because there's 0, there's 1. Okay, the true and the false are not included because there's 1, there's 0. Okay, now how do we know the data type we are dealing with? Okay, we can know the data type we are dealing with by using the type. Okay, so here we can say print, and then we can pass in type, and then we can pass in our variable here. So I will say my set, which also tells us the type we are dealing with. So it tells us that this is a class of set. Okay, all right, so that is it. Now, set constructor, we can use set constructor to create or to make a set. Okay, so let's do it like this. We can have a variable that says make underscore set, then where we say equal to, and then we call set. Now set is a keyword, and because it's a keyword, you can't use it as a variable name. Okay, so when you do something like this, then we have brackets. Okay, so with this we can now pass in the value we want to create a set of. So here we can say, let's have some names here: Mike, John, Mike, Idris, Glory, Hannah. Okay, all right, so with this we now have a set. Okay, so this is how to use a set constructor to create a set or to make a set. So when we print make set, okay, make set, then we run it, then we can see Mike, Glory, Hannah, John as a set. Okay. Now you cannot access item in a set by referring to an index or a key. Okay, you can't do that in set because it doesn't have indices. But the only thing you can do is we can look to a set and for us to get the items. Okay, so for example, we can do something like this. So I can do for x in, okay, so make set. Okay, then we can print x, okay, then we can now run it, and then you can see the value that we have in our set being printed for us. Okay, so because it doesn't have indices, we can't target each of these values, but we can look through to get each of the value in a set. So this is how a set works. Okay, so the only thing we can do is to add and remove. We can only add and remove. Okay, so for us to add an item to a list, what do? We use the .add method. Okay, so how does the .add method work? So we can call our make set, for example. Okay, let's say we want to add another value, so we do dot, okay, and then we call the add method. Okay, so inside this method we can now pass the value we want to add. So here we can say yam, okay, yam, okay, and then when we now print our make set, when we print our make set, and then we run it again, so you can see that we now have yam among our list of names. Okay, so and you can see how this thing is being is coming out random. Okay, so look at where this Hannah is, where John is, where Mike is, where Yam is, where Joy is. All of this is the reason why you cannot everything in Python is on, I mean everything in a set is what is unordered. Okay, the items are unordered. Now let's look for that. Let's go further to look at how we can use the dots. We can add element of a list to a set. Okay, how to add element of a list to a set. So for us to add element of a list, so let's call it our list. So we are creating a list and then adding it to a set. So that's what we want to do. So we can call it our list equal to then a square bracket. So inside the square bracket, then we can now declare a list that we want. So we can do 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, is that 5? This 5. Okay, 6 7 8 8 9. Okay, and then 10. Okay, let's stop here. Okay, so this is a list. We can add a list to a set using the dot update method. Okay, so we can do something like this. So we can do make sets. Then we now call the update method on the make set, and then we can now pass in the value or the variable of our list. So